Think about the absolute insanity that is the policies being pushed by these Democratic politicians, how they keep making things worse, but people just are scared of not fitting in. So it's absolute mob mentality, right? You get the story of lynchings, you get the story of people marching with pitchforks and torches. They get wrapped up in the mob and they just do what the mob does, and this is no different. Like Twitter, for instance, is a constant mob. Yeah. It is all mob mentality. It's people piling on so people join in because they want to fit in and they're scared. So what ends up happening? New York City, right? It's horrible, horrifying.
Yes.
We have this story: homelessness, mental illness, crime is skyrocketing. Locals and tourists believe the town has lost its essence. Some of these photos, I don't even know if I can show you because New York is bad. Like there's a woman a mentally ill homeless man is seen laying in the street blocking traffic in Times Square.
Whoa.
You look at Venice. This is brutal. Constant emergency zone. Calls for change mount as homeless encampment fills Venice boardwalk. Crime increases. Wow. Imagine after watching all of this. Imagine after watching what happened in Portland with, constant riots, fire bombs. People are like, well, but I don't want people to think I'm a Trump supporter. So I'll vote for the Democrat again.
Yeah. And I think what's really shocking is that a lot of the people who are in these areas, these urban areas like New York, they've been there for so long, they think it's normal. I remember last time I was in LA, I was talking to someone who was from LA and she asked so are you going to be moving down here? And I said, I don't think I could, frankly. And she's like, oh, really? Why not? And I was like, well, there's a lot of poverty. There's a lot of crime, a lot of homelessness. And she was like, what, really? And it's like, yeah. And even just recently, I was in New York with Sean, actual Justice Warrior, and he was driving us through the city and, we were asking him, so is this a good area? Is this a good area? And I remember we would be driving somewhere and he was like, yeah, this is a really nice area. And Liam and my husband would look at each other and back, it does not look like a nice area. And that's just, I think a lot of people are desensitized to, seeing stuff. We saw a drug deal on the side of the street, biggest rat I've ever seen in my life, but that's normal for them.
So for these people who have been living...
No offense. No, a little bit of offense. That's bad. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah.
For these people who have been living in these cities for the past year, their frogs boiling. Mm-hmm. They don't realize the temperature is escalating. Just every day another homeless tent, every day another crime, a mugging, and now they're used to it. And I know this from experience because living in Chicago, I remember when I leave Chicago, I'm like, wow, carjackings and shootings are a rare thing, huh? Mm-hmm. It's well, not when you're in Chicago. You just once a month or at least you hear gunshots going out and you hear a story about a murder, 800 murders per year. So you're getting a couple murders per day. That's living life. So when you live there, you're desensitized to all this. So the people who are living in New York and there's crime and there's escalating mental illness and problems and benefits are worse, the train service is worse, it's just normal. Yeah. Every day they add one more grain of sand to that heap and eventually the city's trash and people just live in it.
LA, though, people are noticing. My friends in LA are posting about it. I'm like, dude, you'll see under the underpass, there's just tents, way more. I was there in 2010. I was in Venice. I lived in Navy and Pacific right on the beach, a block from the beach. And they had passed legislation right around that time that they could no longer camp overnight in the parking lot. They were all bringing their RVs in and just living there in the parking lot. So eventually they had to leave and come back. Still pretty rare. And it was to the point where if you wanted to park on 5th Street in Venice and then walk to the beach, you're better off parking in front of some homeless tents because they'll be like, hey, and they'll watch your car for you. And you come back and they're super cool. But, like anything, if it gets overpopulated, it can become very, very dangerous.
So here's two things are happening, right? We got a bunch of Republicans. They're all gloating. They're like, you know that GIF of who is it? It's the Godfather or whatever.
Yeah.
Where they're all laughing and he's smoking. Yeah,
that's The Godfather.
Yeah, that's the Republican governors right now. So we have this story. Red state governors tell Hannity Town Hall how harsh lockdowns in liberal states have turned Democrat voters into Republicans who have fled and are now boosting their economies.
Cool. Yeah.
The Democrats, I think, I can only imagine, wanted to destroy their cities.
Well, it's hard to imagine people who are in these cities and who see everything getting worse, the economy, crime, and all that stuff. And these places that have been under the same control for decades, if not generations. And it's if you look at the state of things now, who do you have to blame, right? I mean, it's been the same people in power. So if you're one of those residents and you're still voting for those same people, I mean, I've got a question, why, right? That's insanity. Just doing the same thing, keeping the same party, same people in power, and expecting it to be different. I kind of like, I forget who it was, maybe Kanye, when it was talking about like Brexit and voting for Trump. It's like, what do you have to lose by trying something different if you're in one of those situations where, you know, like Baltimore or Detroit, you've kind of been sold out and just completely forgotten about. Why not at least try to change stuff up?
Democracy doesn't work, does it?
You know my thoughts on this.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, I prefer individual liberty over democracy, and they're not always in opposition to each other, but they are not synonymous like I think, you know, Democrats often paint them as being. And I do, you know, service guarantees citizenship. I think there's better metrics of measuring the effectiveness and fairness of government rather than everybody gets a say.
Yeah, so the Democratic Party is literally becoming the Democratic Party, and the Republican Party is literally becoming the Republican Party. It's a bit simplistic right now, but Republicans like republicanism, where you have states and you have these jurisdictions and you can live in your state and have your rights protected, and the federal government, you know, provides for the common defense and things like that. And then you have the Democratic Party, which wants everyone to vote all the time, no matter how old you are, and then just get a majority, you know, rule on things.
Yeah.
The ancient Greeks had two parties, primarily the democracy party and the oligarchy party. And it seems like we might still have that with the Democrats and the Republicans, although they're both a little more like it's all funneling through a republic now. There is no like mob rule, but we still have like the Democrats and the oligarchs.
It's all mob rule. What do you mean?
Well, we have the republic in the Senate, basically, is supposed to like be a stopgap to the mob rule and say...
Yeah, and that's true. That does... the Democrats complain about it. They're like, why do 16% of the population have 50% of the say or whatever?
Well, yeah, they talk about the Senate and the Electoral College not being democratic as if that's a fault rather than the point of the system. Right. Yeah, they say, like, did you know this? It's like, yeah, that's why it was created that way. It's to temper mob rule. And, you know, just the idea, they talk about things like they'll have polls like, this many people think it's unacceptable to have hate speech, yet it's allowed, or, you know, this many people think we should have socialist policies. Like, I don't care how many other people support taking away my rights. They're my rights. You can't just take them away no matter how many people are in favor of it.
Well, that's what the guns are for.
Yes.
Yeah, and they don't understand that either. You know what it is? It really is a sorting algorithm where you've got people who just don't know and don't care, and the people who do. Mm-hmm. That's really it. They think they know and care, but if that were true, they'd actually, I don't know, like fact check some of the things they read, but they don't. Conservatives do. Conservatives constantly are reading other sources, and it's not perfect. They're not always correct, but as I mentioned fairly often, there's that one study, I think it was Pew. Republicans get around a third of their news from liberal sources, right, because they're comparing and contrasting. Liberals don't. I think the Jonathan Haidt's research on moral foundations plays into this as well. The left, liberals, only care about care and fairness. They only have 2 moral foundations. Republicans have 6. Mm-hmm. Initially it was 5, now there's 6. So libertarians have 1. No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
They have 1. Liberty. That's it. It's amazing. So you can take these tests and they tell you if you're a liberal, conservative, or libertarian. Libertarians don't care about anything so long as it's liberty based.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so there's like some really creepy questions in these tests, but Republicans tend to have every moral foundation, which includes purity, loyalty, authority, care, fairness, and did I say liberty?
No,
liberty. I think that's a 6.
I can't remember.
And the left is only care and fairness. What ends up happening then is you go to someone and say, hey, I propose this policy. And the only thing the left cares about is it fair or caring about someone? That's why you see Democrats literally be like, it's racist, it's racist, it's racist. Because that strikes at care and fairness. It's not fair. Racism is not fair. And then you go to conservatives and they care about loyalty, supporting those who've supported you, back the blue. Authority, you know, also back the blue. Purity is, you know, purity is an interesting...
Family?
Yeah, like family and maintaining, you know, tradition and things like that. The left doesn't care about any of that.
This is my problem with fairness, this idea of fairness. If there's 2 people and you have 1 sandwich, what's fair? You split it in half and give each person half. What if one of those people is super hungry, the other one's totally full? What's fair? You still split it in half and give them each, and this guy can't even eat it, so he throws it away? Or do you give the entire sandwich to the hungry person? And then you have to make that judgment call of what's fair, and you have to believe that they're telling the truth that they're actually hungry.
I'll tell you, it's simple. You take the sandwich for yourself and you kill both. That's communism.
Fairness. Yes.
No, but that's
And communism's the most fair, right?
Yeah.
Well, usually.
Boom.
Yeah.
Does
And
seem
that's
fair.
a great
Solved.
point when it also comes to things like wealth redistribution, like the communism. Is it fair? And I think the answer is no. But is it fair that someone who works all day gets the same amount of money as someone who didn't work at all? Like, is that fair? I would say no. And there's this sense of like almost equity that they equate with fairness, and they equate that with justice. But I don't think that's fairness at all. I think
Right.
we have different definitions of
I
what's
agree.
fair.
Except like when it's in a family and it's like a young kid that
Yeah.
can't work, and then the parent does all the work and provides equal for everybody.
But I think there are people who are communists and socialists who see everybody who isn't willing to work or incapable as a child, and we even saw that as like one of the drafts of the Green New Deal, that even people who did not want to work would be provided for.
Here's the philosophical question. Ian, if you saw a beautiful, rare butterfly flapping around doing its thing, and then it got stuck in a spider's web, would you free it?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. It's not really my place.
Would you free it?
No, I don't like bugs.
You know, I don't
in
care if it's a
general.
butterfly.
Yeah, the
It
trash take
dies.
care of the trash.
I wouldn't.
Why not?
Spiders got to eat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true.
This is just this.
be my
What am I? Who do I condemn? The spider or the
Now,
butterfly?
if you were caught in a big spider web, I would free you.
right, because
Unless
we.
it was like a Lord of the Rings thing,
Yeah.
in which case
But I
it's
meant
like,
wrong.
Agreed.
yeah.
No, I'd
no,
still
but
free
you can use the what is it? The light of you know,
Elendri or what is something?
yeah, the light,
Yeah.
the last light of the elves or
Okay,
whatever.
that's what I
Elendil?
would do, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember.
There you go, and then you'd scare the spider away.
I'd cut it away and I'd scream,
Yeah.
pull you
scream
down
the
and
spider.
carry you off on my shoulder.
That's right.
It's interesting. So I went out and I gathered a bunch of cicadas, right? Because they're everywhere. And I like in 10 minutes had 40 of them and I just dumped them in the chicken city. And the chickens just run up and start just mashing their faces into them and they're eating them like crazy. And I thought about like how brutal it was that these things spend their lives, 17 years of their lives growing and getting ready to just get that chance to reproduce. And I took that away from them. I do think, however, I'm helping because the smart cicadas, when I got close, would
They
fly
left,
away,
yeah.
and the dumb ones
Oh, yeah, you were
would
saying
just
that's evolution.
That's right.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're
yep.
contributing to the gene pool.
But that's kind of scary because then you're contributing to some sort of like super cicada
Super
race.
cicada.
that
Well,
might
actually,
challenge
no.
us
Like
for
when we take
supremacy.
part of the antibiotics.
It means that the
Yes.
next round of cicadas will avoid people.
I know, but
Oh.
well, maybe avoid them to the point where you can't hear them. That
That'd
would
be nice,
good.
right?
No, they're too loud. Anyway, the
Getting
point
louder.
is, this is an important philosophical question because a lot of people who only care about care and fairness would be like, oh, you've got to free the butterfly because butterflies are pretty and spiders are gross and nasty, ew, icky. So it's a very childish way of looking at things. Sure, I mean, I actually like spiders way better than butterflies.
Almost
I would catch
superficial.
the butterfly and throw it in the spider's
Oh,
web.
whoa, okay.
Like
I'm kidding.
it seems like superficial, like this idea of fairness. I mean, obviously, if someone's starving, it's not superficial, but it kind of is. I mean, it's not obviously because when it comes to the human's life and a human's death, that's not superficial.
Let's stop for a second. Ian, you mentioned the sandwich thing, right?
Yeah.
All right, so one person's starving and one person's not starving. Why is the person starving?
Exactly.
So what if the person's starving because he's been sleeping all day,
Right.
and he doesn't work, and he's a misanthrope, and the other guy who's not starving made the sandwich, and he's not starving because he makes sandwiches, and then what, you take it away from him and give it to somebody who's not contributing? This is the big challenge we face because, as you mentioned, Ian, you would save me from the giant spider web.
I would.
Bless your heart.
Oh.
However, there's big questions about that because humans obviously want to save humans because we're all humans. We care about each
Right.
other. But then our natural tendency to save each other results in people who are a drain on the system being saved. It's really interesting. I was
It's almost
talking.
dysgenics at the
Yeah, I was talking to, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Daniel about chickens.
Yes.
And I think he was mentioning that the roosters kill the baby roosters.
Yeah, he's the expert.
Yeah. He was saying like they cull the weak.
Wow.
If the rooster sees a weak chick, it'll just mutilate it.
metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
super metal. And it's like, because the idea is it's trying to make sure that the flock stays strong.
We don't do that anymore. We coddle the weak.
Anymore?
Yeah.
We
Well,
used
I
to?
mean, like, look
War.
at Sparta, war. I mean, just
Yeah.
in general, we didn't have the social systems to take care of people the way that we did. I mean, also, we didn't have the medicine. So it's like, Darwinism, if you screwed up, you were going to die. But now medicine and technology and society in general has advanced to the point where we are able to keep the people who would have been killed off long ago just around.
Idiocracy.
Yes.
So you guys have seen Idiocracy, right?
Yeah.
Only
Yes.
parts of it.
I haven't.
So Mike Judge, genius.
Yeah.
It's where they state in the beginning of the movie, it used to be the strongest would survive, but because of human technology now, those who reproduced the most were being rewarded by evolution. And I think what he missed in that, sort of, I mean, obviously the idea is that stupid people reproduce more than the smarter
Which
people.
is true.
But what he missed also was just in general, people with a variety of ailments and weaknesses. And, I mean no disrespect because, I mean, people want to live. You know what I mean? I get that. We're humans. We care about each other. So that's a very important philosophical question that gets into very dangerous territory. But I think so long as you maintain libertarian values and just say, look, I'll do my thing, you do yours, we're probably better off. But there's a very deep philosophical question there. If you see somebody who is like their leg is broken and there's like a wolf running towards them, do you say, oh, well, the strong must survive, or do you help save the person? If the person's got like a genetic deformity in their leg and a wolf is running, do you say, oh, well, the strong survive, or do you save the person? Humans, I think, and this is good, default towards saving people. And it's unfortunate for us because in the long term, it's will probably have a negative impact to a certain degree.
Well, and it's not just that. It is like you were saying about Idiocracy, the fact that not only are we trying to save everybody, but it's almost like the people who are the smartest and who would have potentially the most to contribute, they tend toward nihilism nowadays because of, economy, politics, lack of spirituality, whatever, and they're less likely to reproduce. So then that is dysgenic. It's like if you look at women, the more educated a woman is, the less likely she is to have children, and the fewer children she is. So it's not looking great for the long-term survival of our species.
Yeah, and I think what ends up happening is you're going to get people who are very powerful, wealthy industrialists who are going to use their influence and power to say, you know what, we're going to intervene and we're going to force humans to do something. I mean, you look at how we treat hogs and deer when they get overpopulated. Humans have no problem getting in a helicopter with some high-powered rifles and then hunting down those hogs. Like they do this, legit, crazy. When there's like an overpopulation of feral hogs, they go and they cull them. They do the same thing with deer. We have deer season for a reason, too many of them. And then we get turkey season, too many of them. Humans, nobody culls humans, except for other humans in war.
Well, I mean, I don't want to go down a whole rabbit hole, but there are people who think that, there are a lot of abortion providers who go to places specifically like Africa, and, not just birth control, but actual abortions. I mean, there's an argument to be made that is, in a way, especially if you subscribe to the pro-life mentality, that is a form of culling it. You're saying there's too many of you can't survive, you're breeding at too fast a rate, we need to nip this in the bud.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
There's no I think humans.
And it's not just in like developing countries. You could make the same argument. Like the majority of abortion providers are in lower income neighborhoods.
Yeah. In minority areas.
In minority areas.
That's creepy. It's creepy. This conversation's like so. It's impossible, and I think humans are just screwed basically.
What you said was one of the most interesting things I've heard in a long time. Is that we used the weak used to die off young, and so the strong would breed, and our evolution was strong. And now the weak are kept around with medicine and are breeding, and so our species is potentially seeing that side effect now,
and that results in fascism
and all sorts of crazy deformities within our race.
It results in strong men, authoritarian, fascistic leaders who are like, I'm going to kill these people, and that's the creepy thing. I think that's why space travel is probably our best approach. We as humans, we can't tolerate the idea of just deciding who gets to live or die by some person's choice, because an individual will never be smart enough to understand. A decentralized network is infinitely better, but through technology, more people are surviving, even people who normally wouldn't. What do? I think space travel, space colonization, rapid acceleration of technology is probably the best approach, because we certainly want to do everything to stop fascists. But this is a real philosophical challenge. And you'll get, the scary thing is, people who don't care about technology, many of these leftists who are saying space travel is a waste of time, bring the money back to Earth because they don't realize the money was spent here in the first place, because they're not literally shipping money to Mars. Like when you hire someone to build a spaceship, you pay them on Earth and then they go and work and they buy food. Anyway, I digress. These people are ideologically driven, and it's creepy. Like when Greta Thunberg, I think genuinely she is a tool of an authoritarian fascistic ideology, because she said she wanted to shut down fossil fuels now, which would result, I think, in like 60 million deaths in a few weeks. No joke, because starvation, and all diabetics would immediately die. If we lost access to refrigeration and electricity overnight because of the shutting down of coal power plants, hundreds of, like, I don't know how many diabetics there are, but they need insulin to be refrigerated. We had the power go out the other day. refrigerator's gone. Like food spoils.
Yeah.
Just like that. And so we set the generator up, we have the batteries, and we're hoping to keep our refrigerator going. Heaven forbid you actually rely on that like diabetics do. So when Greta Thunberg comes out, it's really fascinating. She's this big climate change activist. A lot of these climate change people are very much apocalyptic. We've got 9 years to solve this problem. Think about how scary that is, what they're really saying. There are too many people, they are using too much, and we have 9 years to figure it out.
Or else what?
Yeah, so what's what? And then they talk about a great reset, changing capitalism. Well, for one thing, I think it's kind of great that people are adopting van life. Like millennials are hopping in vans and cruising and enjoying life more and just chilling. People for too long were getting their happiness out of things. Nah, man, you want to sit on the beach with a dog and look at the stars. That's the way to do it. And that's better for the planet and everything. Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.